Hello, my name is Eliana Bauer. My topic is, what is patriotism and how can you show it? Well, patriotism is supporting and loving your country. There are many ways to show patriotism, like voting, thanking and supporting veterans, serving on a jury, hanging out a flag, doing community service, or singing patriotic songs. Today, I have 3 examples of how to show patriotism. My first example is you could vote. Yes, only adults can vote, but it is still a great way of showing patriotism, and a lot of adults do it. Some adults vote and some do not, and that is okay. But some of the adults that vote only vote to show their opinion and make it matter. Others do it to show patriotism to their countries. Some people do not know what patriotism is, and that is okay. But even if they do not know it, they are still showing patriotism by voting. My second example is you could thank and support veterans. Not just by thanking them when you walk by, but by sending them care packages with cookies and sweets. And a lot of them have earned Purple Hearts, like my great-grandpa. He served in World War II when he was 15. He knew he was not supposed to, but he wanted to help. He wanted to show patriotism to this country. That led to him being a pilot in the Air Force. He served in the Air Force for a long time. He got a Purple Heart because he protected and showed patriotism to this country. And you can too. My final example is you could do community service. There are a lot of ways to do community service, like donating clothes and food, picking up trash, or just helping a neighbor. All of these things show patriotism by caring for your country and keeping it clean. By keeping it clean, the better our country looks. And I know that not everyone votes, thanks and supports veterans, or does community service. And that is okay. But I do know that everyone shows patriotism in their own way. So I have a question for you. How are you going to show patriotism today? Thank you.
Hello judges, contestants, and fellow audience. My name is Itziana Castellanos, and this is my patriotic speech. What is patriotism? Patriotism is when a person shows honor, respect, and love for a country. Patriotism is a feeling that comes from the heart, which means you don't have to be an adult to show patriotism. Anybody can be a patriotic person despite their background. As former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg once said, "America is known as a country that welcomes peoples to its shores, all kinds of people." Just because you don't come from the United States does not mean that you can't express your love for our country. For example, placing your right hand over your heart when you hear the national anthem can be patriotic. But how about young people? How can young people show their pride and love for our country? The essence of America that truly unites us is not ethnicity, nationality, or religion. It is an idea, and what an idea it is, that you can come from humble circumstances and do great things. Former United States Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice. This quote states that anybody can be a patriotic person, including students and young people. For example, every morning at school, students recite the Pledge of Allegiance to show their honor and respect towards their beloved nation. This is a symbol of patriotism. A young person can pick up garbage on the street and simply throw it away. You can learn about laws and how the government works. This may seem confusing or difficult, but if you ask a parent or guardian to help you either study or to explain the system to you, it would make it much more easier to understand. Schools can also be patriotic. One way a school can be patriotic is by having veterans come to the school and give a speech to the students. The students then can learn about these important people and start developing habits. A school can also offer a Veterans Day parade. The students then will be able to grasp the concept in a fun and exciting approach. As former President John F. Kennedy once declared, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Patriotism for me is loving, showing respect, and showing pride to your country. It does not matter where you come from or what you believe in, but what matters is how you express your love for our country. One way to express your love for our country is to learn about the history of your adored nation to find something important about its past. By doing this, you can adapt to a new habit. Patriotism also means for me that you try to help your country in every way, shape, and form. One way to help your country is by joining the Army. By joining the Army, you can try to fight for your country. But as former British ambassador to the United States, James Bryce, once proclaimed, Patriotism consists not in waving the flag, but in striving that our country shall be righteous as well as strong.
Hi, judges, parents, and students, and welcome to the 37th Annual Patriotic Speech Contest. My name is Luis Elijah Flores, a proud student of Country Meadows Elementary. To start off my speech, I want to say a quote by Oliver Wendell. One flag, one land, one heart, one hand, one nation, evermore. But what I really want to talk about today is, what are the most important responsibilities young citizens have for their country, community, or school? Patriotism for country. Ways to be patriotic for your country is doing the Pledge of Allegiance. When you are doing the Pledge of Allegiance, you are swearing an oath to this country and respecting our flag. In my family alone, I had 20 veterans. That's 20 people who took valuable time away from their family and risked their lives to protect the freedom of all of you and me. And now think of the millions of people who did that. Never was so much owed by so many to so few. That was once said by Winston Churchill, a former Army veteran who came up with a strategy and helped us win World War II. Now let's talk about what builds a country, and that is a community. What's the definition of a community? A community is a unified body of individuals with common interests, common characteristics, or live in a common location. But that's not what a community is to me. What a community is to me, well, first we got to think of the people who built it. Think of the dedication and hard-working ethics that they put into it. They tried to make sure it was safe for the parents, the elderly, and especially the kids. But what are little ways you could do to help your community? First, pick up the litter. You want to make sure you have a safe environment for all the people that live in the community, and especially the community animals. Second, maybe you could start a neighborhood watch group, because that could make it safer for the kids to play without the parents having to worry. But let's talk about what's in a community, which is school. Schools are super important. But in my school, I have something on Veterans Day. We have veterans walk through the halls of the school, and we make sure we don't clap too loud for their PTSD. But we at least try to respect them as much as we can, because they did a lot for us. They fought for our freedom. Another thing is helping the teachers. Teachers have to prep for 30 kids and over. Maybe a little bit less, but it's still hard for them, because they also have to do grades, and it's very hard work sometimes. So that's why we have something called Student Council, a house with school events. Makes it so the teachers at least get one thing off their plate. And I think it's cool that they do that. Make sure the teachers have to work a little bit less, because they already work hard enough. But to wrap all of this up, I want to say a quote by Luis Flores. Hard work, dedication, motivation. That's what we all put into this country, and that's what we should keep doing. That's why we should never give up, and that's why we should keep on working. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
John Quincy Adams once said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more and become more, you are a leader." Hello teachers, judges, parents, and my fellow contestants. My name is Desayla Golden. I will be talking about responsibilities that young citizens have. First responsibility is to get a good education. We are still young, so we have to get good grades and focus as teachers. If we don't get a good education, how do you think that would affect us? It would affect us by giving us challenges and difficult things that happen to us in the future. You may be asking, what are those difficult things that could happen to us in the future? Well, we would have a hard time getting into college. We would also have a hard time getting a job, because some jobs only allow people that went to college and have a scholarship. To get a job, you also have to respect people, which brings me to my next point. Next is to respect parents, teachers, and elders. As a young citizen, we have to show respect to people older than us. If we don't show respect, how do you think that would affect us? If we don't show respect to teachers, they wouldn't want to teach us, and how could we get a good education? If we don't show respect to parents and elders, they wouldn't trust us with nothing. Lastly, have patriotism. My aunt had patriotism. How did she have patriotism, you might ask? She served for the Marines of the United States of America. I look up to her because she showed her patriotism by fighting for our country. She's a big, important person to me. She did a lot for our country. You may also be asking, how does it feel to have her as my aunt? It's cool because I can ask her, what did it feel like to be in the Marines? She is a hero and I look up to her because we can all do this to show our patriotism when we're older. She is alive and well, but she is not with the Marines no more. Overall, I said 3 important things that young citizens can do. First, I said getting a good education. Second, I said respecting parents, teachers, and elders. Lastly, have patriotism. Remember, John Quincy Adams once said, if your actions inspire others to dream more and become more, you are a leader. Thank you.
Good afternoon, contestants, families, staff, and judges. My name is Matthew Vito, and today I'm going to be talking about what patriotism is and how young people can show it. Patriotism is loving and caring for your country, also the quality of being patriotic, devotion to and vigorous support to one's country. Young people can show patriotism by cleaning up parks, streets, and highways in our cities. This can lead to parks looking cleaner and not so filthy. We need to clean our streets and highways because it could cause car accidents. Example, cardboard flying on somebody's windshield can cause them to go blind and crash. Nails on the road can pop a driver's tire. Cleaning up can also stop soil, water, and air pollution. This is why it's very important to clean up our cities. Another way young people can show patriotism is by supporting a veteran. This is very important because they protected our freedom and they also risked their lives for others. A way of supporting a veteran is sending them a letter of thanks, or if you know a veteran personally, you can thank them in person. This is why it's very important to honor and respect our veterans. The next way young people can show patriotism is by appreciating our freedom. This is important because without freedom, we'd probably not be able to talk free thought or do free will. We also need to acknowledge our freedom of education. Some countries do not have free education like we do here. This is why it is important to appreciate our freedom. The final way young people can show patriotism is by showing kindness. There are a lot of mean and cruel people now in this world. Showing kindness can better ourselves and better our country. I have a question for you. Would you want to live in a country full of mean and cruel people? So I ask, a little kindness can change someone's day. What are you willing to do to show kindness? Those are a few ways how young people can show patriotism and what it is. Thank you, contestants, judges, staff, and families for taking your time out of your day to listen to my patriotic speech.
With great power comes great responsibility. You've most likely heard this before in the famous movie and comic Spider-Man. What are our biggest responsibilities to our community? Everybody has responsibilities, whether that be watching your siblings or doing something as simple as chores. As a 6th grader in my community, I know that not very many young people are responsible. As young citizens that aim to be patriotic, our biggest responsibilities are to follow rules and laws, volunteer, and respect people's rights. To be patriotic doesn't mean you have to wave a flag outside your house or anything like that. It means to be responsible. 49 to 70% of teens today have committed crimes. This isn't very good for our generation. This means kids who don't follow rules and laws won't learn a big way to show responsibility. From experience, I know I haven't been the most responsible. But this year I've chosen to take responsibility for all my actions. By me doing this, I could set an example, not only for you, but for my friends and family as well. To be patriotic, to be responsible, you don't just have to follow rules and laws. You have to volunteer. You don't have to, but
Volunteering can be anything from helping at animal shelters to being a coach, and it helps us be good citizens. 23% of Americans out of more than 60 million volunteer. These aren't the best numbers, but if we can build these numbers, it can help make our country a better place. The responsibilities that come with volunteering are respecting boundaries, helping so many people, and so much more. Small acts and multiplied by millions of people can change the world. This quote by Howard Zinn means when you step up and do something great, many will follow. When you volunteer, someone else will too. This leads a way for our world to follow. Not only volunteering can make you responsible, but also respecting people's rights. The part of the responsibilities of being a young citizen is respecting people's rights. My friends and family always respect each other no matter what. We always do because it's okay to be different, and when you respect others, they respect you. The first step to respecting others is respecting yourself. When you respect yourself, if you don't know how to respect yourself, you won't be able to respect others properly. Respect is one of many ways to show responsibility. Following rules and laws, volunteering, and respecting people's rights are the three biggest ways to be a good citizen. As a young citizen myself, I know by me showing my experiences and examples, I can give good insight. As a community today, if we all help our young citizens follow rules and laws, volunteer, and respect people's rights, we can do great things.
Patriotism is not short, frenzied outbursts of emotion, but the tranquil and steady dedication of a lifetime. That quote was said by Adlai Stevenson. This quote affects me because he was a smart and witty person. He makes me think about, do I actually show patriotism? How do you think a young citizen can show responsibility in their country, community, and their school? Good afternoon, judges, teachers, parents, and other contestants. My name is Lucas Jensen, and I am a patriotic citizen of my country, community, and my school. Some people do not know what patriotism means, and I can tell you, it means that you love your country, and you would do things for your country like join the military. Being respectful to your country is wonderful, but are you really patriotic to it? Learning the history of your country, like learning about its documents, how it was formed, and the different wars. The Declaration of Independence is an especially important document that formed America. Another responsibility to your country is following the law. Wearing your seatbelt, walking at the crosswalk, and not littering are examples of laws. What are young citizens' responsibilities in their community? The easiest one is making wise choices. Do not trespass and do not litter. These are simple rules that everyone can follow and obey. Another responsibility is to volunteer. Volunteering is important because it can give you identity and you can pass it on to your future kids. Another way to be responsible to your community is to support people. Helping an elderly person do tasks like crossing the street, buying items for them. What are young citizens' responsibilities to their school? How can we be responsible for our school? Being respectful to your fellow citizens like the teacher, parents, and even the janitor is great, and we can show patriotism to them to feel like they have voices and opinions that are valued. Students litter, and the janitor should not be picking up your trash. The janitors work hard every single day to work and establish our schools. This brings up a question: are you respectful? To sum it up, I'll leave you with a quote by Abraham Lincoln. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Thank you for your time.
Charles de Gaulle once said, "Patriotism is when the love of your own people comes first." But does that necessarily mean you must love everything in your country to show patriotism? My name is Adelaide Bates, and I am a devoted citizen of America. And I do not think you must believe your country is the best to show patriotism. There are many wonderful things about America that I love and am very proud of, but there are also quite a few things I do not believe in or support in this country. For example, the U.S. has a very efficient and well-run government. On the other hand, there are many things I believe to be unjust and wrong that the U.S. government believes to be good and right. You do not need to love your country above all others to show true patriotism. One of the things I love about America is the remarkable U.S. government. Our government has greatly evolved in its beliefs and ways of doing things. For instance, women and black people used to have no rights or very little rights and were treated like animals or servants. Now they all have equal rights and can do almost everything only white men could do in the past. Also, in 1971, the 26th Amendment was passed, and it let people vote when they were 18 instead of 21. As you can see, the U.S. government has developed and improved since it was first established. However, American society is still unfair in many ways. In 2017, a group of Yale researchers did a study on racial equality, and they discovered that for every $100 earned by an average white family, $57.30 was earned by an average black family. Turns out America is not as fair to black people as we thought. The United States describes itself as a country with equal rights for everyone, but have they really lived up to that standard? Also, there is still some gender inequality in America. In an article called Gender Inequality in the United States, it says that less than 30% of the House of Representatives is made up of women. Plus, women often earn less money on average than men for the same job, even if they have the same qualifications, or sometimes a higher degree. Women have been fighting for freedom for decades, yet they are still not completely accepted. There are many great qualities about America that I love, but I do not have an opinion on what the best country in the world is. You can show patriotism in other ways, such as voting, staying informed about your country, and helping in your community. True patriotism does not mean believing your country is better than all others. It means supporting your country and always being loyal to it. Thank you.
What is patriotism? Is it waving a flag and saying the pledge, or is it something else? Hello, my name is Savannah, and I'm a 5th grade student at Pioneer Elementary School. Welcome, fellow contestants, teachers, and judges. Today, I'm going to discuss what patriotism means to me. To me, it means not blindly following what the government tells us to do, respecting others, and standing up and speaking out about the issues in our country. Blindly following what the government tells us to do won't get us anywhere. Instead, we must speak up for what is right and help the voices of minorities who have been shunned all across America, as well as our own, be heard. In the words of historian Howard Zinn, if patriotism were defined not as blind obedience to government, not submissive worship to flags or anthems, but rather as love for one's country, one's fellow citizens, as loyalty to the principles of justice and democracy, then patriotism would require us to disobey our government when it violated those principles. There have been many protest movements in history that have helped a multitude of people over the course of American history. Some of these include the women's suffrage movement, the Stonewall riots, and the civil rights movement of the 1960s. This shows patriotism by showing that we want to make this country a better and safer place for more than just the majority. The former president of Mexico, Benito Juarez, said, "Respect for the rights of others means peace." Respecting the beliefs of others is an important part of American patriotism. Our government is a democracy that values our right to vote. In order for our country to work well, we have to work together. Our elected leaders represent all of us, and they have to compromise and work together to truly represent us all. Without the respect for each other, they cannot work together. If our community and our nation could respect the opinions of others, we might all be able to come together as Americans. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance does not show patriotism. Marching for what you believe in and standing up for your beliefs shows patriotism. 17 students were murdered in a school shooting in Parkland, Florida. David Hogg was a survivor who now fights for children's voices to be heard. There are youth-led rallies and marches held all over the country, putting action to kids' voices. Young kids can attend marches and give speeches demanding change. Patriotism is an action that shows power. David Hogg said, "Power doesn't rely on you having it, but no matter who you are or where you come from, the power is within you to change the world." I hope after my speech that you understand that I believe patriotism is a verb, not just a noun. Speaking up for others, respecting one another, and marching for our rights is patriotism. Thank you for your time. As Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out its true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. We cannot live out his dream unless we all, even young people, put patriotism to action and use more than just our voices."
Hello everybody, my name is Layla Huseinovic. I am from Sun Valley and I'm here to present to you my Patriot speech. Do you know what a patriot is, and how can young citizens show their pride for their home country? A patriot is a person who virtuously supports their country and is prepared to defend it against enemies or distractors. In the United States, people show their love and support in many ways. People care for the veterans that served in the war. It is important to be a patriot because it is a noble sentiment of love, pride, and sacrifice for the sake of one's country and its people. In this essay, I will discuss the most important responsibilities young citizens have to their country, community, and school. The most important responsibilities young citizens have to their country, community, or school is to respect and care for all the veterans that served in the war, read the Declaration of Independence and Bill of Rights, and wear red, white, and blue to special events. Young citizens can show their patriotism by caring for all the veterans that served in the war. Caring for all the veterans that served in the war is important. Veterans are people that fought off the war. For example, experience in an occupation, office, or like a veteran of the police force. This evidence shows that they served in the war. In conclusion, they served to fight off the war and protect our country. Another reason why young citizens can show their patriotism is by reading the Declaration of Independence and Bill of Rights. They both express the ideals that define we the people of the United States. For example, the first 10 amendments from the Bill of Rights, and also by all 13 American colonies in declaring independence by the Declaration of Independence. This evidence shows that reading the Declaration of Independence and Bill of Rights is essential. In summarization, if you read the Declaration of Independence and Bill of Rights, you might learn some new facts. You can learn about the 13 colonies from the Declaration of Independence and the 10 amendments from the Bill of Rights. For example, the freedom of speech. The last reason why young patriots can show their patriotism is wearing red, white, and blue to special events. Wearing those colors means you respect for all the people that risked their lives for independence and freedom. For example, on Memorial Day, as a day of reflection and appreciation for those who fought for our freedom. This shows that people wear red, white, and blue to respect all the people that fought for our freedom. In summarization, people wear red, white, and blue to show their respect. They wear those colors to Memorial Day, Patriot Day, Independence Day, and etc. In conclusion, young citizens can show their patriotism by caring for all the veterans that served in the war. Also reading the Declaration of Independence and Bill of Rights. Lastly, wearing red, white, and blue to special events. This is my essay, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, Memorial Day is coming up. Make sure to wear red, white, and blue to show your support.
Have you ever wondered what patriotism is and how young citizens can show their patriotism? Hello, judges, teachers, parents, and fellow contestants. My name is Erin O'Kane, and I'm here to talk to you about what patriotism is, how young citizens can show their patriotism, and how to teach it to kids. In my opinion, patriotism is the love and devotion for your country. It's the will to stand up and fight for it. Now, here are two out of a lot of ways for young citizens to show their patriotism. 1. Write thank you letters to soldiers who have served our country. And 2. Go through the voting process. Now, those are just two out of a million ways for young citizens to show their patriotism. Writing thank you letters and going through the voting process. But let me tell you why I think you should show patriotism like that. 1. Write thank you letters. According to the article, The Power of Gratitude, Why Writing Letters to Our Soldiers Matters, research has shown that gratitude letter writing can have significant benefits on both the sender and the recipient. This is important to do because if the recipient is going through tough times, then it could really help them. Reason 2, go through the voting process. Well, according to the article, voting is an exercise of patriotism. Voting is a validation of citizenship and a practical exercise of patriotism. This is true. It's good for kids to know and go through the voting process. By voting, you are being patriotic. In conclusion, to me, patriotism is the love and devotion for your country and the will to stand up and fight for it. I also think two ways to help young citizens show their patriotism are to encourage them to write thank you letters to people who have served our country because it can make the writer and recipient feel good. And second, go through the voting process because when they get older, they will feel the need to show patriotism, vote, and support their country. Now, what do you think patriotism is? What can you do to show your patriotism? Thank you for your time.
Peter Marshall once said, "May we think of freedom not as an opportunity to do as we please, but as an opportunity to do what's right." So my question for you today is, how do you use your freedom? And do you think our country is the greatest in the world? Hello, judges, fellow contestants, and audience. My name is Samuel Rodriguez. Have you ever wondered if our country is the greatest? Well, did you know about 52% of citizens believe our country is one of the greatest? So today I'm going to show you the ups and downs of our great country. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "I have a dream that my children will not be judged off the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." If our country was truly the greatest, why would he have to say these words? You see, we may have a dark past, but we always put the past behind us and look to what we can do better in the future. In the face of impossible odds, people who love this country can change it. Barack Obama. Even though Martin Luther King Jr. had to fight for rights everyone else was given, he loved his country so much that he tried to change the wrong in it. Although our country has wrong, we still have much more right. Gandhi said, "A nation's culture resides on the heart and soul of its people." So it doesn't matter if our country's the greatest. It matters if we have great people in it. Our country has kind and brilliant minds, but like any other country, there will always be people trying to bring this down. So we all need to show more kindness to overpower the bad others bring. One example of a great American was Pat Tillman. He was on his way to becoming a great football player, but he didn't feel he was serving his country this way. He gave up on his dreams and joined the Army to better serve his country. He was sent on a mission and shot in 2004. People like Pat gave up on their dreams just so we can fulfill ours. So next time you see a flag, I want you to think it's there to tell you that people died and gave up on their dreams just so you can keep yours. Today we learned our country may not be the greatest, but we have people who make it great. Martin Luther King Jr., Pat Tillman. People like them are reasons why we can live free and use our dreams in the best ways. So what I told you today, and I want you to take and provide to the real world and use your freedom in the best ways possible. And do you have a dream?
John F. Kennedy once said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country." Hello and welcome, guests, parents, fellow contestants, and judges. My name is Molly Meredith. I'm a 5th grade student from French Elementary. In my opinion, patriotism is respect for your country. And some ways that young people can show patriotism is by picking up litter, respecting our veterans, or something simple like saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, you might be asking, why should we pick up litter? Well, did you know that over 2 million pieces of trash are dropped outside every day? All we can do is pick it up. When people see it, most of the time they leave it, but we can make a change. Also, did you know that littering can harm the air? No, this can cause a lot of problems because that's the air we breathe in. You also need to make sure that you throw your trash too, so it's not a bigger problem. As a 5th grader, another way I can show patriotism is by respecting our veterans. When you come across a police officer, firefighter, someone who works in the military or army, nurse, or doctor, say something nice to them like, "Thank you for your service, thank you for serving our country, and thank you for your hard work." But why should we say these things? Well, you have to remember how much work they have to go through because it's even hard to get the job. They even risk their lives to serve for our country. In my opinion, they're the most important people ever. They help us stay safe when there is danger. We are so thankful that they are here for us. And finally, young people like me can show patriotism is as simple as saying the Pledge of Allegiance. According to Randy Neugenbreyer, the Pledge of Allegiance reflects the truth and faith in God has played a significant role in America since the days of the founding in our country. Saying the pledge with your hand over your heart shows everyone that you love and respect for this country, no matter what happens. You should say the pledge when you wake up, when you get to school, and even in public if you wish. No one can make fun of you, and if they do, just remember the proud American you are. In the end, Peter Marshall said, "May we think of freedom, not the right to do as we please, but the opportunity to do what is right." I totally agree with that. Now, I want you to ask yourself, how can you show patriotism? By picking up litter, respecting our veterans, or by simply saying the Pledge of Allegiance? It's your choice. You get to decide what you do in your future. No one, and I mean no one, can choose for you because you're a proud and happy American, and no one can change that. Thank you.
Imagine this. You're a little kid around the age of 9. All your life, you have been living in a country relatively close to America. But other than that, you have no knowledge about its hardships, nor its opportunities. One day, your parents decide to move to one of the 50 states. You've now been introduced to new weather, new people, and new experiences. You're feeling accepted, but you don't know what to do to show patriotism to your new country and community. So you ask yourself, what can I do? Welcome parents, teachers, judges, and fellow contestants. My name is Audrey Listrito, and I know exactly what to do. So, let's take action. 3 things we can do to show patriotism to America are saying the Pledge of Allegiance, helping other citizens, and celebrating American holidays. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. If you have lived in America, you've probably heard of these meaningful words before. These 12 words are the beginning of the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance is a famous anthem created by Francis Bellamy around the year 1892. This anthem was created to promise loyalty to the United States. By reciting this anthem, you are showing patriotism. Did you know that 1 in 5 people suffer from mental illness? Unfortunately, tons of people in America die because of things like depression and stress. If you want to change this, and the first thing you can do is by helping those in need. For example, other citizens. Helping other citizens builds a stronger and more connected community. It also allows people to be happier, productive, and feel like they're part of something bigger. Did you know last year it was found that over 500,000 American citizens were homeless? And we need to change this if we want our communities to be stronger in the future. This represents patriotism because it helps America become a better place. When you think about the holidays, you probably think about Christmas or Halloween. Although these holidays are fun and popular, there are other holidays that are much more meaningful, especially to our country and community. For example, Veterans Day. Veterans Day is a holiday celebrated to respect the people who fought for our country. Joseph Campbell once said, "A hero is someone who's given his or her life to something bigger than oneself." Think about all the soldiers and military personnel fighting for American rights. They want to preserve freedom, respect, happiness, and peace. We are incredibly lucky to live here as free citizens because of the sacrifices made by these veterans. Do you remember that 9-year-old kid I was talking about? Well, that was me. Now that I know what this country stands for, I've come to love America. I not only was saying the Pledge of Allegiance, helping other citizens, and celebrating American holidays, but I also tried to do many other acts to show my patriotism and love. I'm now 11 and have a better understanding of patriotism and what it means to show it. So, I encourage you to not only do the 3 acts I've listed, but also to share the meaning of this speech with your loved ones. Thank you for your time. I stuttered so much.
Last year, my class started a garden in the rocks outside the classroom. In the wise words of one of my favorite teachers, it would make the school look less like a penitentiary. This year, the halls come to life with spirals of painted rocks and leaning sunflower stalks. These things are at the heart of patriotism. Judges, competitors, parents, my name is Grace Carey. Patriotism in a child is less of the usual flag waving and pledge saying, and more so the active effort to make one's country the best it can be. By being creative and having integrity, a child can be a patriot. Benjamin Franklin, esteemed founding father of the United States, was a patriot. His patriotism started even as a young person when he invented flippers for swimming and a stove to warm a room. Not every child is expected to grow up and be a founding father or patented inventor, but patriotism stretches far beyond government affairs. For instance, I know that with one stroll through the hallways of my school, you are guaranteed to encounter at least 1 or 2 posters made by our very own student council. They light up the school with reminders of Spirit Weeks and support for school sports teams. The students showed their patriotism by bringing the school beauty, color, and unity. Creativity is a child's way of making their school a better learning environment. Creativity is their way to show patriotism. A second virtue I encourage young patriots to have is integrity. I have always been taught that integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Take the Stanford marshmallow experiment, for example. A child was left alone with a single marshmallow and the promise to double it after 15 minutes if they do not eat the marshmallow. 67% failed. I believe this is because they were left alone, which leads to the second part of integrity, when no one is watching. People like teachers, parents, and coaches. Some may find it easy to act according to their environment. They put on their mask of honesty until they are left alone again. But do not act honest. Be honest. That is what a patriot does. Branch out in creativity. Earn trust with integrity. You may not see it now, but you make big differences in little actions, like the posters and gardens that decorate my school. Your creativity and integrity are the future of patriotism in our country. Thank you.